सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. We are seeing this section of Manomaya Kosha, and we saw in the previous shloka in 167, the first shloka of Manomaya Kosha, where over here Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is saying Jnanendriyani cha manascha manomaya syat, including the Jnanendriyani. The Manomaya Kosh includes the Pancha Jnanendriyani, and the Pancha Karmendriyani was included over there in Vijnanamaya Kosha. So the previous Annamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, all of that just adds on to Manomaya Kosha. Mind is, the Manomaya Kosha is subtler, and that's what over here in the last line it says, Tat Purva Kosha Kosham Abhipurya. It fills the previous koshas, it includes the previous kosha, Vijrumbateyaha. And this kosha, this Manomaya Kosha, Mama Aham Iti Vastu Vikalpa Hetuhu. In 167, the second line says Mama, Mama, mind, Aham. It is the ego, the sense of Aham is with the inner the very inner world of thoughts and emotions. It owns it up and says, I am sad, I am happy, I am intelligent. So Aham is with regards to the very inner world of the emotions and thoughts. The Manomaya Kosha includes at the ownership level of this perceiver, feeler, thinker, Aham. It owns up the inner, Gurudev used to say, the inner climatic conditions are owned up by this ahankar. And when it says this mamatva is with regards to the outer world of objective reality, and vastu vikalpa hetuhu, and this vastu vikalpa hetuhu, it is the cause of creating diversity in this objective reality. It creates diversity of the thought pattern of various objective reality. So continuing from that on, in shloka number 168, पञ्चेन्द्रियैः पञ्चभिरेव होतृभिः पञ्चीयमानो विषयाज्यधारया ज्वा जाज्वल्यमानो बहुवासनेन्दनैः मनोमयाग्निर्वहति प्रपञ्चम्. What a beautiful simile Shankaracharya ji has used to explain this Manomaya Kosha. The very fire ritual is what he has used, the Agnihotra ritual, the this is particularly used to explain this Manomaya Kosh very, very beautifully. So, Pancha Indriyaihi, by the five sense organs, Pancha Indriyaihi, Panchabihi eva, Panchabihi, by these five, Hotrubihi, the very five priests who preside over the four priests representing the four Vedas. They sit on the four sides of the Homakunda, and then Brahmaji being the Sakshi. So in this way, these five priests who preside over it, and Hotrubihi, they are the very priests who oblate. So it is the senses who represent these five priests. Furthermore, it is said, Panchiyamanaha, fed by these five, Vishaya Ajyadharaya. Vishaya, the objects, the sense objects. Ajyadharayaha, by a steady stream of oblating the sense objects which represent ajya, meaning ghee, the clarified butter. So as though the single stream of ghee which is oblated into the fire, in the same way the five senses, they oblate as the ghee, the five sense objects of the five senses are poured into this fire. And what is this fire? And it is said, Bahuvasana Indanaihi, the fuel, the wood which is lying in the Homakunda, that wood is Indana, fuel. And that fuel, the wood, is brought to Prajvalit. It takes on to this fire, Bahuvasana Indanaihi. Ananta Koti Janmantara created vasanas are what is lying in this Homakunda of this Manomaya Kosha. And these five senses are oblating the five sense objects, like the priests. They oblate ghee into the Homakunda, and the wood which is there is none other than, over here the simile Shankaracharya uses of this as Indanaihi, these Bahuvasana Indanaihi. Ananta Koti Janmantar created Vasana. We have no idea what we have brought. Just mere few which comes into our intellectual sheath and mental sheath, we are able to act upon those thoughts. But there are so many thoughts that act upon our mind on any particular given day. Hundreds of thoughts attack us. And Jajvalyamanaha, it becomes, the inferno comes out, and it is set ablaze. fire, now the indana, the fuel, which is vasana, and the ghee which is poured onto it, now it is set ablaze, and these jwalabihi comes out, manomayagni vahati prapancham. And in this manomaya agni, the fire in the form of the manomaya kosha, vahati, it flows, it maintains a prapancham, it burns in this phenomenal world of the prapanch. What a simile Shankaracharya ji has brought about over here. This entire simile of Homakunda, and in this Homakunda, this mind, it sets ablaze all of our ananta koti janmantara, but it is not possible without the participation of the 5 priests, and the 5 priests are the 5 senses of perception. Very important. And also the 5 senses of action from the previous kosha, but over here especially the 5 senses of perception are the hotrubihi, are the 5 priests who continuously oblate into this manomaya agni. And if we want this manomaya agni to be controlled, we have to control the amount of ghee which is oblated. We cannot change already in there, because I have brought this fuel from Anantakoti Janmantara, from the past. That already is there. So what is in our hands is nothing but these sense objects. It is so important how we get caught up with this world of sensuous reality. Very important that we stay away from all of these sense objects. If we are serious about our spiritual unfoldment, then we must keep our sense objects under control. Vastu, Vyakti, Paristiti. We should not allow certain situations to disturb us. The situations are there, let these situations prevail. What can we do? We are not the general managers of the universe to go around and dictate situation from situation to situation. Bhagavan Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita, he gives very precise information. Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samachara. Bhagavan, such beautiful language, he tells Arjuna, it is not your job to go out there and change people. Stay away from all these situations. Don't poke your nose and create the inferno of situations. Bhagavan could have taught Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna so many times. He was with them in the forest. His mama, his maternal uncle, he could have easily taken his nephew in his shelter and given him some advice. Bhagavan remains silent. When Draupadi's Vastra Haranam was happening, with the cause of it was none other than her own husband Yudhishthir. When she was disrobed in unceremonious manner in front of everybody, Bhagwan could have given his peace of mind to everybody present over there. His drashti on Yudhishthir was enough to convey that you have not behaved properly. He didn't open his mouth. He looked at Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya. What knowledge do you carry? He helped Draupadi. His sight fell on all of them and remained silent. It was not, he did not open his mouth. This is Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. He's a Guru of the universe, Bhagavan Krishna. He is not compelled to teach others. Who are we to change the knobs and dials of the objects and people and situation around us? If we can just change the knob of our own mind, that is good enough. Such wonderful lessons, unspoken lessons from Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, such beautifully Bhagavan depicts them all. He has navigated through thick and thin throughout the whole Mahabharata, throughout the whole Bhagavatam. His life itself is a message on the eve of, Shri Krishna Janmashtami coming up in few days. So, this Manomaya Kosha, we have to be careful as to what we oblate in it. Paristhiti situations disturb us. The blaze takes on to inferno. People, they also, when continuous thought of people is poured into the Manomaya Agni, it rises. Best we oblate into the Manomaya Agni the thoughts of Vedanta, the clear teachings of Bhagavad Gita, of Upanishads. That is the only way the Agni will become shant, will become peaceful. It will consume everything without burning the inner world. In this way, such beautifully Bhagavan tells us over here, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, about this Manomaya Kosha. The next shloka is also, very important shloka about the mind, the human mind. Nahyasta vidya manasotirikta manohya vidya bhavabandha hetuhu tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam vijrumbate smin sakalam vijrumbate. Such a beautiful shloka over here on this Manomaya Kosha. Very beautifully over here, Shankaracharya ji talks about, he says, Nahi asti avidya manasaha atirikta. Manasaha, then mind, manasaha, atirikta, other than this mind, apart from this mind, he avidya na asti. There is no other ignorance than this mind. Meaning, mind alone is the greatest ignorance. Mind alone is manaha, he Avidya bhavabandha hetuhu. Second line says, mind alone is this colossal ignorance over here. Bhavabandha hetuhu. It is the cause of transmigration from birth to death, to birth, to death, to birth, to death. How much we have suffered, how much we have put up with just because of our mind. Our mind is the cause of this bondage. Unnecessarily, we oblate so many things into the very Homakund of Manomaya Agni. And as we put, so is the output. Garbage in, garbage out. Whatever we put in, foul things we put, the odor which rises from that fire is also foul. When people burn tire and these dirty, some kachra or something like that, the durgandh, fills up the environment. But if something fragrantful is burned, it also fills up the environment with suas. So depending upon what we pour into this mind, that alone is going to pervade our life. So we change the quantity and the quality of objects that we oblate into the fire of our mind. That's why people even go away from one's own familiar turfs. Familiar turfs. So many people go to the quiet Himalayan valleys from the plains of India, hoping to find some quiet time with one's own self. And when we are removed from these situations, the oblations which are poured into this Manomaya Kosha are restricted, are calculated. I don't need to pour all these things. Sometimes physical distance helps. We rejuvenate ourselves. We learn ourselves. People go for some satsang, shibir, they stay in an ashram, they go on a tirtha yatra, etc., etc. This is to retrain the mind, to retrain the senses, that we need not get carried away and pour all that is available to us into the sacred Homakunda of our mind. This is very important. Manaha hi avidya bhavabandha hetuhu. Mind alone is this cause. Tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam. When this mind disappears, where does it disappear? Deep sleep. In deep sleep state, the mind is completely suspended. There is nothing available. And in the deep sleep state, the very family, the very job, the very life itself is suspended. Then why not make a conscious choice while the mind is available to us? Work with this mind properly. So, tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam vijrumbate asmin sakalam vijrumbate. And when this mind manifests, everything else manifests. That is, this mind alone is the cause of bondage, and mind alone is the cause of liberation. Bandhaya Vishayasaktam Mukti Nirvishayam Smrutat. You know, this is said in Brahma Bindu Upanishad, Tej Bindu Upanishad, so many places it is said that mind alone is the cause of bondage, etc. So, in this way, this is a very important shloka. Often we should be able to meditate upon this fire ritual ceremony, uh, which is over here presented as the very Manomaya Kosha. When we see the fire ritual, we should be reminded of this simile. Just like we prepare ourselves with all divine, good ingredients required for a particular homam, whether it be Ganapati homam, Navagraha homam, or here for Krishna Janmashtami, people are going to do so many homams, Purusha Suktam homam, Narayana Sukta homam, whichever it is. In the same way, may the quality and the texture of the ingredients in terms of the sense objects, may those which are oblated in our own mind, may their quality be improved. Continuing, the same idea is further elaborated. स्वप्नेऽर्थशून्ये सृजति स्वशक्त्या भोक्त्रादिविश्वं मन एव सर्वं तथैव जाग्रत्यपि नो विशेषः तत्सर्वमेतत् मनसो विजृम्भणम्. This is also another very beautifully depicted shloka on this mind. Again, it is said, Swapne Sarva Artha Shunye, in the dream state, when it is devoid of various sense objects, what happens? The physical sense objects are not oblated into the mind in the waking state. In the dream state, the physical objective reality is not present. So, in Swapne, Artha Shunye, but then what happens? Swashaktya. Swashaktya, by its own power. The mind has some inexplicable power. And what does it do? Swashaktya manaha eva bhoktradi vishvam sarvam srujati. This mind in the dream state, by its own inexplicable power, swashaktya, mana eva, this mind, bhoktradi vishvam, bhoktradi meaning enjoyer, etc. So meaning, when it is said enjoyer, doership is also implied. So doership, enjoyership, etc. Sakalam Vishwam, in all this internal world by itself on the inside, it is capable of Srujati Vishwam. It creates this whole dream world of experience. When we have a dream of going to Hawaii, we don't go to the external Hawaii sitting in the middle of Pacific Ocean. We create an internal Hawaii based upon the ideas known to us. If somebody has never been to Hawaii, it will create its own imagination of what this island, tropical island bliss is supposed to look like. And if somebody has visited, then they will take that same base understanding and add some more masala to it and create some internal Hawaiian islands. The internal world, the dream of Hawaii, as many people dream about this tropical island, each one of them will have their own unique loka about Hawaii, and each person will have a unique doership and enjoyership. They will act upon their own dream. Some will enjoy, will have a meditative experience. Some will go over there and the volcano will erupt and they themselves will be petrified by their own dream. Different dreams. Others yet will sit on the beach only to experience some tsunami come. Different ideas. Vijrumbate, it creates and it projects. Over here, now Shankaracharya ji says, just like this mind in the dream state projects. Now Shankaracharya ji says, Tatha eva, in the same way, Jagrati api, in the waking state also. Tat sarvam etat manasaha nau vishesha vishwam vijrumbhanam. This mind projects in the waking state as well. Just like the dream state, we wake up and we say the whole thing is fiction. It is nothing but imagination. It is nothing but false. Shankaracharya ji now makes this simile and says, in the same way, don't give reality to the waking world, because the waking world is also a projection of the mind. We can have our own close relatives, our own brothers and sisters, and we can superimpose on them, my brother is trying to steal my parents' wealth. Born to the same parents, raised by the same parents, only to have a fight as adults that I was deprived of my rightful wealth of my parents. And the two brothers will not speak. I talk about two brothers. Look what happened in Kuru Vamsha. Same brother takes away the kingdom. We all know about the story of Mahabharata. Over here, Shankaracharya ji says, be careful with what the mind reports. Very often, what the mind reports is fake news. That is what is to be said over here, that Jagrati api, there is no difference. Tatha eva Jagrati api na visheshaha. It is not any different. It is the same as the dream state. Tat sarvam etan manasaha vijrumbhanam. All in the waking state is the projection of the mind. It is nothing different. Over here, this is the seed which he has placed for Mandukya Upanishad Karikas. Gaudapadacharya ji takes Jagrat and Swapna both as Swapna. This is Shankaracharya ji has over here alluded to what is about to come in the study of Upanishads. This mind, we should take it with a pinch of salt. If it starts painting with some unique colors about people, about situations, about objects, closely watch the colors, for the colors which it paints are its own, and that's not the reality. This is to be understood. This is to be slowly practiced. The five priests who have so much power as to what can be oblated into the inferno of the Manomaya Kosha, it has to be witnessed properly. And if certain things are inappropriate, that sense has to be re-educated. Please don't pour such oblations into this mind. The movies that we watch, the music that we hear, the people that we socialize with, the ideas that we get cross-pollinated with. It is not just the food that we eat, everything else. That is why the definition of annam, atiti annam, and then when we say we consume, that consumption is not just with food, the consumption is with all five senses, and it is being oblated into the Manomaya Agni, the fire of the mind. This we should guard. This we should guard. Swami Akhandanandji Maharaj used to say, कोई आश्रम में पढ़ने के लिए नहीं जाता है, आश्रम में जीवन कैसे जिया जाए वो अभ्यास करने के लिए आश्रम में प्रवेश करते हैं. Very important, because we can study things, but our study will bear no fruits if we have not learned the art of living. So, in ashram, we are exposed to proper ways of living. Who should we talk to? Who should we not talk to? How do I conduct myself? Do I say? Do I not say? If I say, how much should I say? All this has to be learned. And this abhyas, if it is done for a period of time, then we recreate, so to speak, our own internal world. And we will create our own white picket fences around our own mind. This ochre robe is an example of it. It is a reminder to me, and it is a reminder to society. If there are some people going to the movies, they don't pick up the phone and say, Swamiji, we are going to the movies, you want to come with me? And even if they do, I also should have enough understanding when I see myself over here is going to movie appropriate with these clothes? No, not necessary. In fact, it is nishiddha, not allowed. Because the goal is determined by our own purpose that we have understood of our own life. Where do I want to be? Where do I see myself? Bhartruhariji says in one shloka that 50% of life is gone in sleeping. And of the 50 which remain, 50% of life which remains, out of that, another 50%, meaning 25%, is gone in childhood and in old age, where we will require somebody else's support. That gives us only 25% of our life. If we live 100 years, then 25 years is there in our hand. Of that, 50% is gone in learning. Mere 10 years are there in our life to make a difference. If we live for 100 years. I have that shloka I have not committed to memory, but it has left a deep mark when I read that. In Vairagya Shatakam, he has talked about that not much time remains. It's a different way of saying Kala Kridati Gachati Ayu Tadapina Munjati Ashavayu. What Shankaracharya ji says in Bhaj Govindam, Bhartruhari has very beautifully depicted in a shloka. So, if that understanding is there, then my goal, where am I headed? Koham kastvam kuta ayata kame janani kome tata. Shankaracharya again, the same thing. Who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? If this understanding is there, then immediately our mind, which creates a distance between us and Bhagavan, immediately we will bridge in the gap. That is what this Manomaya Kosha. Very, very powerful if we think about the wonderful stories that this mind creates in our life. Continuing, shloka number 171. Over here, Shushupti kale manasi praline naivasti kinchat sakala prasiddhe ato manakalpita eva pumsaha samsara etasya navastutosti. So, manasi praline. Now, over here, deep sleep state. So, what is observed in the deep sleep state? It says, manasi, of this mind, manasi, when this mind, praline, when it is reduced to its own cause. In this deep sleep state, sushupti kale, in the deep sleep state, it is said, kinchita na eva asti sakala prasiddha. Not even a wee bit, kinchit, na eva asti. Kinchit na eva asti. Not even a wee bit of objective reality exists in the deep sleep state. Why? Sakala praline. It is all dissolved. And it is sakala prasiddhe. It is well known by everybody. It is Shankaracharya ji saying it is not just my experience. It is not just Gauda Padacharya ji's experience. It is not just Vedavyas Maharshi Ji's experience, Sakala Prasiddhe. Each and every single one of us experiences a deep sleep state. When we wake up, we feel we are rejuvenated and we have no experience of the laya that we were in. So, ataha, therefore, he says, pumsaha, this human being, mana kalpita eva. Therefore, a human personality is a mental creation. Our own personality which exists where? In our own mind, is a figment of imagination of our own mind. What a powerful statement Shankaracharya ji makes. And therefore he says, samsaraha etasya na vastutaha asti. Actually, there is no samsara other than this. There is no samsara other than the mind. Samsara actually, you know what exists on the outside? It is only Jagat. Gurudev used to say, Jagata. Jayati, Gachati. It borns, it goes, Tishtati. For few minutes it remains. That is called Jagat. It's born, it goes, and from its existence to its going, momentarily it exists. Is called Jagat. Gurudev used to say Jagat 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 iti Jagat. This whole world is just in flux. It just rises, arrives, and in that arrival, momentary existence, and it just goes, goes, goes. But in that momentary existence, the senses pervade that momentary existence and it oblates that into the Homakunda of Manomaya Kosha. And when it oblates that, the inferno rises as per the Indanam and it writes a commentary on momentary existence of this world, and that inner commentary on this world is called samsara. Samsara is not on the outside. Samsara is the novel that we write on the inside. The New York Times best-selling, autobiography and all of those things are there. People buy as if our autobiography isn't enough, we read other autobiographies. What is that? It is just some figment of imagination, squared or cubed because it's somebody else's. When we go to watch E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park, we are watching the Manomaya Kosha. That is what it is. The writers, the producers, and the director, they all come together and create a story. All the stories within are called, according to Shankaracharya ji, samsara. Samsara etasya Na vastutaha asti. There is not even a wee bit of reality about what is cooked up on the inside. That is all created figment of imagination of mind. And we move about in such terrain for lives. Lives. This Christopher Nolan has created this movie, Inception. A thought has intercepted us. Buzz. In nature, there exists a fungus, a tiny little spore. What happens? That spore is ingested by an insect. It goes inside. It germinates. The fungus then takes over the entire neurological functioning of that insect, makes that insect go up the tree to the highest portion of the tree, and the insect becomes paralyzed. And then something inexplicable happens. Fungus starts coming out from all directions of this body, and the body just bursts, and new spores are released from the top of the tree, and they go everywhere in the forest to find another insect and repeat this entire pattern. What a powerful this exists in nature with a fungus. Our packet of fungus, what it makes us do. Controlled by this on the inside, and the ghee which flows from the outside as the sense objects. This poor thing has stories to tell now, and we find ourselves knee-deep in the ideas presented of this mind. Shankaracharya ji gives yet another example. Last one we saw is of the Homakunda. Here's another one. Vayuna niyate megaha punaste naiva niyate manasa kalpyate bandaha mokshaste naiva kalpyate. If we've lived in India or any country which has a monsoon season, the hot wind which comes from the equatorial heating of the ocean, it pushes through the very portions of either Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea, and the winds bring together the heated up moisture from the equatorial oceans, and it assembles into the clouds, only for the clouds to come down as rain. But sometimes, if the wind are very strong, They have assembled and brought it to the Indian peninsula, but that same wind has the power to even dismantle the clouds. So Vayuna aniyate megaha. Megaha, clouds. Aniyate, it assembles and it brings. Vayuna, by wind. And then the same, punaha tena eva niyate. And that same wind, niyate, takes it away. Aniyate, niyate. The mega, the clouds are created by winds and they are even dispersed by the same wind. When we look at the horizon, dark, dark clouds, and for sure our mind thinks it's going to rain, I better take all the clothes inside, line drying clothes. Only as I'm picking the clothes from the line, by the time I'm done and I look, the dark cloud is gone. Only to put the clothes back again. Manasa kalpyate bandha. In the same way, mind creates bondage. Moksha tena eva kalpyate. And the moksha is also something which only the mind can deliver by being disciplined. That same mind, when it is disciplined, it can deliver moksha. The same mind, when it is distracted, it creates bondage. Such are the powerful over here teachings of Shankaracharya ji, this Manomaya Kosha. We will continue tomorrow in our class. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.